Right, let's get and crack on with the painting. What I'm going to do next is, if you look here, I'm going to do the foreground area as it comes down there and a little bit over here, and try and get the rocks in and the foliage in down this side, which will basically leave the stream and the sort of mini waterfall as it comes down to do. Now the reason that I'm doing that is because the colours that are going to come in here are primarily blues and greys, and they're different, almost a different palette than all this area here. And at the moment, down here on the palette below, I've got all these colours mixed, and before I can get onto this area, I'm going to have to clear a space and sort of redo the palette. So I'm going to try and get all this done first. Right, so where to start? I think we'll come and do these rocks down here. The paint is still usable on the palette down here at the moment. Needs a little bit more white, I think. I can never open this. There it is. I think it's my aging hands. I find these tubes harder and harder to open as the years go by. I've actually got myself a pair of those things standing by to open up the tops. Sometimes it's the only way I can actually get into them. Okay, a bit of that there. A little bit dark. Let's lighten that up. Still dark. Sometimes it's very difficult to tell until you actually, that's better, until you actually get it on the board. It can look right down below, but then you get it on the board and it's too light or too dark. So like that looked a lot darker when I was down there. You move it up onto the painting and that's better. What I'm trying to do is give a feeling of the layers that are in this rock. And a knife's quite good for that because the natural edge of the knife and the way you move it down is very good for creating layers. And this particular rock, you can see on the painting, not the painting, on the photograph, is very much layered. A bit like slate. You can imagine that you could get this lump of rock and you could chip away at it with a chisel and cut it easily into tiles. I'm just going to put my head in the way there of the camera. Excuse me. I want to get a different knife because that's better. the larger blade of this particular knife is better for getting the lines into the rock. I've got a rack over there that has about 7 knives hanging on it of different shapes and sizes, but I do have to admit that I don't actually end up using a lot of them. I tend to gravitate towards the one knife that you've seen me using all the way through this painting most of the time, with the addition of just maybe another one occasionally. I did do a painting a while back. It's down here by my side. I've never quite got round to finishing it. I was having a bit of a struggle with it. But it's a painting of a pier. That's actually the pier at Beaumaris in Anglesey, I think that's how it's pronounced. And I was trying to paint it with the knives and having real trouble with the actual metalwork of the pier. And then earlier in the year I was watching Landscape Artist of the Year, the Sky programme, and on one episode there was an artist, and she was using, that's better, she was using the edge of a credit card to paint the metalwork of a bridge, and I thought, that's it, I'll try that. So I tried it, and it sort of worked. I sort of feel that I must try and get round to actually finishing that painting. And maybe now is the ideal time to do that. Change knives again, and let's get some greenery in. There's an interesting thought just occurred to me as I'm doing this. I was talking in the last video about the fact that I'm not trying to duplicate the exact colours on the photograph as I see it, and it just made me think of an interesting phenomenon that I think is very important when we come to actually look at reproductions, which, let's face it, a lot of the time now, that's what we're doing all the time. We very rarely, most of us I think, get into a gallery and actually confront real paintings on a regular basis. But we are absolutely bombarded, aren't we, on a daily basis with digital images I am putting digital images, photographs of my work online all the time. And I take great care that when I photograph my work, I get it as near to I get the photograph as near as possible to the tones and the colours of the actual original painting, and I make sure that I use the right camera to do it. I actually do it with the this camera on this phone here, which is a Pixel 2 XL, because I found that my new phone doesn't take the pictures that it takes. I think are nice. The colour reproduction is nowhere near as good. Whereas the colour reproduction and everything that this phone does is fantastic. However, if you are like me, somebody that has multiple amounts of tech everywhere, you'll probably realise that every screen that you open an image on, that image looks different. All you've got to do actually to show this is to go on to Google image search and search for a famous painting. And search for something that you know, and something that's very famous. Search for something that's very famous, because when you do that, you'll find that loads and loads of images of the same painting come up on the screen, and every one of them will be different. And it's that realization that although I may put out an image the way that I know it to look correct, your screen is most likely showing you something totally different. And I have to bear that in mind. When you look at my paintings online, or when I look at your paintings online, it's got to be that realization that we're not necessarily seeing the same thing. And so I had to give up quite a while back on trying to make everything work the same on every platform, because it just won't. You view a photograph on a Mac and you view a photograph on a PC, it will not necessarily look the same, especially if you're using a laptop, because one laptop will look different to another. That's just the nature of the beast. It's nice. I'm trying to get a different green here. I'm not quite happy with the green that I've been getting. It's not glowing enough for me. Is that better? Yeah, that's better. That's much better. That's much more the green that I want down here. Now I've got to, note that I am not creating the particular shape of different plants or anything down here, because let's face it, this isn't a plant identification session. I know some artists take great pains to reproduce every leaf of every plant exactly as it should be. I am not, in general, one of those artists. It's not what interests me, really. What interests me is textures and tones and paint and what can be done with it. That's looking good. Happy with that so far. So far so good, so they say. Let's get some down here. This is where the fallen leaves are, and it'd be nice to actually intimate that if possible with the texture. It's interesting with the difference that individual gestures make when you start working with knives. It's very different than painting with a brush, I find. Not saying that gestures don't matter with a brush, of course they do. But the different textures and shapes that you can get just by the way that you make the brush dance across the canvas, not the brush, the knife dance across the canvas, it's quite amazing, really. And I think for me that's part of the excitement of this type of work. There's also, of course, something else that I can try, which sometimes works very well with this sort of area that I'm working on at the moment. So you have to be careful not to create too many different types of texture, because you can fall foul of it looking disjointed. But sometimes it's possible. I'll try it now and see what happens. I've got a bit of tissue in my hand, a bit of kitchen roll, and sometimes it's possible to, just by getting paint onto the kitchen roll, to create different textures that work having said that, I'm not sure whether it does. Sometimes you try something, it works, sometimes you try and it doesn't work, doesn't it? And sometimes doing that can, no, it looks wrong. And the reason it looks wrong, I'll tell you, it looks wrong because it's so different from all the marks that are made with the knife. But of course there's the great thing is that because of the nature of oil paint and because of the nature of the knife and the board, it's easy enough to just scrape it off and add a little bit more in a different way. Because one of the things that I find with a knife painting is that it is obvious that it's painted in a particular way, and that's part of its beauty. And if you go messing about like that and trying to put a different texture on, you are in danger of making something stand out in the wrong way. Making something stand out because you can tell that it's put on with a different tool. Now sometimes that can be okay and other times not. Remember, what we're doing here is we are tricking the eye into looking at textures in a particular way. And I think in general what I'm doing here with the tip of the knife is working better than the, yes it is, it's definitely working better than what I was trying to do with the tissue, which can work in certain situations but not particularly this time, definitely not this time. Quiet moments. I've just realised something. Sometimes I get so used to it I don't notice. Excuse me a second. That's better. Hope that wasn't irritating you too much, but it was this fluorescent tube decides to hum in a different way and in a stronger way at times, and I get so used to it I don't notice it, but it's stopped now. Put a little bit more black down there. There we go. Yeah, that's working. It's interesting as well that different ways that you push the paint or pull the paint when you're working with knives will make a huge difference to the mark that you get. A pull will generally create a sort of sharper mark almost, whereas a push will create a much more natural jaggedy texture, which is great for getting into the depths of the undergrowth here in a natural way. That's better. There we go. Put that across there. That's better. Oh, that was a mistake. Not too worried about that, to be honest. That particular area is destined to be partly obscured by the frame anyway, so not too worried about that. So we're nearly there. I never cease to be amazed by all the different, there we go, all the different strokes and textures that just a simple blade of metal can make. You know, it really is a constant sort of exploration of what you can do, of possibilities, and sometimes every action that you make, every movement that you make can be it's like it surprises yourself, and it's like, oh, look what just happened. Yeah, you know, it's really, that's it. You know, you look at it and you think, God, that's good. That's good. That was what I was planning to do was one thing, and what's happened is another. And actually, I like what's happened better than what I was planning to do. I'll leave that there at that. That's coming along quite nicely, actually. Let's go across to this side and work on the a few bits of rock and undergrowth across this side. That's it. That's nice. That's nice. Do you know, we've all watched Bob, haven't we? We all know what I'm talking about. If I mention the name Bob Ross, there isn't a person in the world who doesn't know who I'm talking about. But you know, before YouTube, before we were all having a go at painting online and, you know, showing people how we do what we do and trying to help people who are just starting out and all that sort of thing, which is basically what Bob Ross was trying to do. But you know, before we all started having a go, Bob Ross was there doing what I'm doing now, using 2 mobile phones. Bob Ross was doing it, and he had to have an entire television studio put aside and created to do it, and to paint it. And I found it interesting. Recently I watched a documentary about Bob Ross, and there was what's happened to Bob Ross's paintings and everything, and they were saying that for every episode of The Joy of Painting, Bob actually painted the same painting 3 times, so that they could get it to look how he wanted it to look on the television. I'm not doing that here. I can't paint the same painting 3 times and get it exactly the same. Not without a lot of painstaking work. I mean, okay, Bob's work was fairly simplified. That was the point of it. You were meant to be able to have a go yourself. And you know, if you made it too difficult, you know, if he was expecting you to paint the Mona Lisa, you'd give up straight away, wouldn't you? Because you wouldn't have the foggiest idea what to do. So, you know, some people might knock Bob Ross for the simplified technique that he was teaching, but he gave an awful lot of people an awful lot of useful information and an awful lot of encouragement to take up and do something that it gave them an awful lot of pleasure. So I wouldn't knock Bob Ross at all, but I thought it was interesting that he had to do 3 paintings for every episode of The Joy of Painting. And the other thing that was interesting was the fact actually that they never sold any of Bob's paintings. Bob Ross's paintings have never actually come up for sale. They have a room and all the paintings from all the shows are all stored away in this room. And sometimes people ask if they can buy them, and the answer is always no. I'm not quite sure why, to be honest. I can't remember why, but I thought it was interesting that that there is actually a demand amongst people for these paintings, of which there are 3 of every one of it. Just because of who painted it, the legend of Bob Ross. I think it was interesting as well. The fact that he always seemed such a gentle soul, Bob Ross, didn't he? Always seemed he was talking in a very, very soft voice, and he'd always have his little creatures there, and there'd be a little squirrel, or there'd be something similar, you know. And it was always seemed so calm and cool and he'd actually spent years in the army I can't remember what he was now, petty officer or something, was it a quartermaster? I can't remember what he was, but he was in a job that required him to be quite, officious and official and barking out orders and all the rest of it, which is totally out of character with the person that we all know and love from the telly. Just shows to show, doesn't it? You can't tell. You just cannot tell. It was a great shame that he died so young. It really was. But anyway, the legendary Bob Ross. That's dark as that. That's it. It's coming down nicely. And I think we are getting into the realm of being able to start work on the water. Let's just get this rock in here. Don't know whether you can get the feel of this, of what's happening on the canvas from the strange angle that you're having to view it so that I can film it. I hope you are. Sometimes you can put a little bit too much on. That's the wonder of this, is you can just scrape it off again and apply the way you want it. I think an interesting thing to remember when you're working with paint, no matter whether it's oil paint or watercolour, I don't think it matters too much. What I think you do well to remember is that every change of texture produces an edge. That's nature. Nature doesn't, in general, create lines. Nature just makes things, and lines occur where things change. And so I've just put that white paint on there, and you sort of look and think, is it, oh dear, that shape that I've made at the bottom there, that's not very, it's not that it's not right, it's just not how I want it. And then you just realise that actually it's where the black and the dark, it's where the dark and the light coincide, and I can get the line that I want, not by fiddling and messing about with the white that I put on and the light that I put on, but by actually changing the way that the darkness intercepts with it. And by different ways of holding the blade, you can also get a different type of line. If you use the blade on a slant, you'll get a sharper line. If you use the blade on its flat and just push it around, you'll get a feathered line, a much softer transition from one thing to another. Right, I think we are reaching the stage where I want to maybe just call it a day for part 4. Yeah, I think so. Call it a day for part 4, clean off the palette, and start with the and get ready to do the water. Okay, I'll do the thing again that I did before, where I take the camera here off its tripod and move it close so you can see what I've just done and what's happening. And I'll bring you in a view of the textures that I've just put on. Pull back so you can see the picture without falling over the bin. So you can see the picture emerging there. And call it a day for part 4. Part 5 is going to be the final part, hopefully, where we put in the water and then just do a few final tweaks to pull it all together. So I'll see you all very soon in part 5.